Hello and welcome to Daily Wellbeing with Gemma. Today I want to show you a model that's really helpful for getting you to think about where you're directing your time, especially if you're feeling a bit anxious or overwhelmed. So there's a couple of different versions of this. I'm going to show you a model with 2 circles, and then I'll show you the version with 3 circles. This is about sorting out the things that are going on in our head. So draw yourself 2 circles. The outer circle is called the circle of concern. And this is filled with things that are bothering us, but we can't do anything about it. It's completely out of our control. So for instance, the fact that there was an outbreak of coronavirus, it just happens. We can't do anything about that. What we see on the news, we don't control who puts it there. Perhaps what's going on in terms of daily politics, what other people are choosing to do. And often things in the outside circle can be quite stressful for us, because when we're not in control, we worry about things more. We tend to get stressed out if people aren't following the rules, or we find the news makes us anxious because we're powerless. We're hearing this information, but there's not a lot we can do about it. And so if you're focusing your time, your energy and attention on those things you can't do anything about, you'll probably notice yourself getting more overwhelmed or your anxiety levels being more raised. So the model encourages to think instead about what we can control instead. So this might be our attitudes or how we spend our time. Who we contact. Perhaps the social media that we publish and consume. So not so much what's out there on the big web, that's not down to us, but how much time we spend on it and what we put out there, that's in our control. Who you talk to, what you choose to do when you're in your home space, your own behaviour. So these are the things that we can do something about. And by really paying attention to, well, what can I do? We're bringing that control back within ourselves, and it can be quite grounding. It doesn't mean that this stuff goes away, but by putting our attention here, we tend to feel psychologically a lot better, a lot calmer, because we're doing what we can. Another version of the model has a circle here called the circle of influence. And that kind of bridges the gap between the two. So the circle of influence is things where it's not directly in your control, but you can do a little bit of something about it. The example I like to give is that, I can't control the weather, that's in the circle of concern, but I can perhaps, think about what I pack, I can check the forecast. So I can't do anything about it, but I can mediate the results. So maybe that's in the circle of influence. I can't control what other people do during this outbreak, or at any time for that matter. But maybe in our circle of influence, we have friends and family who might listen to our advice, or we might be able to convince them of things, we might be able to check up on them. Politics on a wider scale, we can't do very much about, but perhaps in our circle of influence, writing to MPs or campaigning about issues bridges the gap between control and no control. So certain things, if they're really bothering you in the outside circle of concern, ask yourself, what can you do to influence it? The point of this model is that the more you can focus inward on what you can control, the better it is for your mental health usually. And so if you're feeling overwhelmed, taking a moment of quiet to go, right, what can I do with my time? How can I change the way I'm thinking about this? It's difficult, but it will probably give you a better sense of focus, and it will help reduce the negative impact of these things on the outer circle. So do use it to sort out the things that are going on inside your head, and take time to be proactive and really look at, what can I do? and how can I kind of get on with that without worrying. So I hope that's really helpful. Do share some ideas, comments or questions if you have them. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.